Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving straight into what is essentially a masterclass in building lasting success. We're looking at Vedic astrology, specifically the architecture of authority, Saturn in the 10th house. If you're someone who tracks your placements and you've always felt like your career path is just an incredibly demanding climb, well, this framework is going to give you some immense clarity. We're going to unpack the exact mechanics behind why some careers just flash and fade, while others stand the test of time like ancient architecture.
Okay, let's dive into this with a core theme from the text. Authority becomes a lesson in responsibility. This placement fundamentally demands patience. There are absolutely no shortcuts here. It literally forces you to earn every single ounce of your influence through strict accountability. So it's not about being handed the keys to the kingdom, it's about being forced to build that kingdom yourself, brick by very heavy brick.
Section 1. The Blueprint of Authority. Decoding the 10th House.
So, as a quick foundational reminder, our source material frames Saturn in the 10th house as a life heavily shaped by four main pillars: career, duty, reputation, and public responsibility. Now, you probably already know this isn't about just floating through your professional life unnoticed. But what's really fascinating here is how the text frames accountability as the primary currency for your success. If you want influence, you essentially have to buy it. And how do you buy it? With your own willingness to take on the heavy burdens that literally nobody else wants to touch. It completely redefines ambition. Here, ambition is basically synonymous with duty.
Let's move to and see how this builds across a chronological career lifespan. Our sources map this out across three distinct phases. Early on, you've got slow growth and setbacks. Then, in mid-career, the theme shifts to heavy duty and actively earning your authority. And finally, later in life, all of that compounds into profound respect and a lasting legacy. It is the ultimate professional marathon, you know? One where those first few miles feel like you're running uphill with sandbags strapped to your ankles.
Section 2. Building the foundation. The early struggle.
Okay, we really need to reframe our understanding of workplace hardship here. The foundational challenges of this placement usually look like you being handed the incredibly difficult, messy tasks that everyone else expertly dodges. You're going to face delays and obstacles, but these actually serve as defining lessons in resilience and strategic thinking. Throw in a personal tendency to hold yourself to, honestly, impossibly high standards, and you've got a recipe for rapid, if pretty exhausting, maturity. You're out there doing the heavy lifting while everyone else is, clocking out for happy hour.
Now, the primary takeaway for this early phase is kind of a tough pill to swallow. Success rarely comes overnight. But listen, that slow, methodical career growth you're experiencing, that's actually a feature, not a bug. You're meant to build an unshakable reputation through years of unglamorous, behind-the-scenes effort. Think of it like the deep root system you need to support a massive oak tree. If it grew any faster, the first major storm would just blow it right over. So those setbacks, they're really just testing your structural integrity.
Section 3. The Weight of Leadership, the Mid-Career Process.
As we shift into the mid-career phase, things follow a strict, completely non-negotiable two-step process. Step 1. Prove yourself repeatedly. Step 2. Receive leadership positions. Under this architecture, authority is strictly earned. It is never, ever just handed to you. You aren't getting that corner office through charm or networking events or playing office politics. No way. Leadership arrives only after you've demonstrated your absolute competence beyond a shadow of a doubt time and time again. Because you've survived that rigorous testing phase, your public image really solidifies here. People start to view you as dependable, disciplined, and authoritative. Interestingly, the source text points out this really common paradox. People will rely on you as a dependable rock long before you actually see yourself that way. Your track record simply speaks way louder than your imposter syndrome. You might still feel like you're scrambling just to get the work done, secretly battling your own perfectionism, but from the outside, you look like the only adult in the room.
The crucial point to grasp here is the true weight of leadership. In this context, being in charge has absolutely nothing to do with ego or wielding raw power. It's entirely about service, sacrifice, and taking on immense responsibility. It's about holding the whole structure together for everyone else. You're not sitting up high on a throne. You're standing underneath the ceiling, literally holding it up so that others can work safely underneath.
Section 4. Constructing a lasting legacy, the masterpiece. Entering this third phase, we get to the ultimate, hard-earned payoff. The text highlights a beautiful, almost mathematical concept: mastery through perseverance. The formula is beautifully straightforward. The more professional challenges you endure, the more capable and highly respected you ultimately become. That intense friction from your early and mid-career,
That is exactly what polishes the rough stone into a master of the craft. There's just no substitute for the wisdom you get from surviving those professional fires.
And unlike that fleeting overnight success that vanishes the second the hype dies down, this path ensures that your respect actually increases with age. As your experience and your expertise accumulate over the decades, your recognition compounds beautifully later in life. You're not a flash in the pan, you're an institution. Your reputation becomes this deeply appreciating asset, paying massive dividends in the form of absolute trust, deep autonomy, and an unshakable place within your industry. At this stage, your internal drive completely shifts. You become hyper-focused on building a lasting legacy. You're definitely no longer chasing a quick bonus or 15 minutes of fame. Instead, your attention shifts entirely to creating durable, permanent value. You start asking the big questions. What am I leaving behind? How is the work I'm doing today going to benefit this field or this organization long after I'm gone?
Section 5. The deeper lesson. The climax. Our source text distills everything down into this one incredibly powerful question. Can you handle responsibility before you receive authority? Take a moment to really think about that. It completely reverses how modern culture usually looks at career advancement. We are constantly told to demand the title before doing the work, right? But this architecture demands the exact opposite.
The answer to that question reveals exactly what Saturn demands of you. While it may delay the rewards, it grants incredibly durable success to the people who consistently meet their obligations through 3 core traits: reliability, integrity, and endurance. These are the unsung, unglamorous heroes of true leadership. They might not make for a flashy highlight reel on social media, but they are literally the only materials strong enough to build something that lasts. When the easy roads inevitably wash away under pressure, the path paved with reliability and endurance is the only one left standing.
And this brilliantly illustrates the highest expression of this entire placement. On one side, you have charisma and luck, things that are nice to have, but ultimately totally unreliable. On the other side, you have competence, accountability, and long-term achievement. You aren't just rolling the dice, you are meticulously constructing an unshakable reputation on solid ground. Luck might get someone through the door, sure, but genuine competence, that's what keeps them in the room when a real crisis hits. Which leaves us with this final, provocative thought to reflect on. As you navigate your own professional hurdles, all those delays and those heavy responsibilities, ask yourself, are you building a career just for today, or are you constructing an architecture of authority meant to last a lifetime? Keep that in mind the next time you're faced with a seemingly impossible task. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I really hope it brought some vital clarity to your path.